Good morning. It's when we created this whole program this year, we thought what could really create growth for retail at various parts of the country. And the one thing that struck us about this part of this country is that many of the retailers in this plot have not been retailers just for 1 or 2 years. Some of them have been relatively new players, but there are some people with long history who've created fantastic retail concepts, who in many ways I think the concept of having a great culture of retail coupled with modern thought processes were created in Chennai. How many of you agree to that? I mean, you've got marquee brands like Vivek's in this place, which got created ages before, and you've also got the ability to create newer retail places here. The other great things about Chennai is that I think this has got one high street, which creates more than 10,000 crores of business per annum. It's not just one street, it's that whole mile that we talked about last year. But it also encourages people to be profitable. Not too many high streets in this country can claim that the retailers on the high street are profitable. And we know that there is Linking Road in this country, there is also the Connaught place in Chennai, in Delhi, but not too many of them can claim that they are profitable retailers. So we said, if this is the way it is, what is the common thread amongst the retailers? What makes them so special? And this came up to us immediately. We said, these retailers are not retailers who are, in Hindi it's called Kukmanduk. They are not frog in the well kind of people. These are retailers who've really broadened their view about retail as a scene. They have really collaborated in various forms with various people. They have really cooperated amongst themselves to create the kind of scenario that is there. I mean, if you have to go to Nagar and shop on a very busy marriage time, it could not be done but for the amount of trouble that various retailers take to ensure that there is some kind of a flow available. I think it's some kind of method to the madness that happens there. I still don't know how it happens, but it happens. And there is also a large sense of community-centric thought process. Retailers are here to definitely make money, but I think the bigger thing is that they care for the community. I have never come across a more humble set of retailers anywhere else in this country. And that's what marks them as specialists, people who really care for their customers. I mean, in most parts of this country, if you go and shop, as long as you're shopping, they are fine with you. But when you do not shop, I think the retailer's real snarl comes out. He's like, why are you passing time? I've never experienced that in Chennai. Would you all agree with that? I think there is something special, some ethos in the Chennai retailers that makes them so special. They've been here long enough. They are very powerful gentlemen. But there is a sense of humility which is unheard of in other parts of this country. So with that as a preamble, we thought we should call some people who are really making a difference. People who believe in a more holistic method to retailing and from whom we can really create some thought processes. Without taking too much of time, Raghu just spoke to us and he talked to us about the community center concept, and I think that's what makes it so nice. We know that Subhash Chandra has done some great collaborations, and they would be able to tell us about what kind of collaborations is helping them in growing the business. None of his success is about just being a flash in the pan. I think his success is coming out of the fact that he knows his customers, he wants to help the customers, and he creates collaborations that will create relevance for the customers. With Vivek's, I mean, it's always said that the store brand is more known than the brands they sell. And that cannot be done without real level of collaborations there. Palam is a relatively new player in the marketplace. Relatively new, right?
Yeah, we are a 50-year group.
The group is 50 years. So it's amazing. So I want 50. And I think they're creating a huge difference in the way they are able to showcase the products that they are selling now. So with that in the thought, I think because we got Senthil coming in first, I'd like Senthil to talk, since he's here sitting next to me, I'd like Senthil to talk a little bit about Paramudiri Selai, the thought process behind it, and what makes it this successful. And is there elements of collaboration, cooperation, or inclusivity that you bring in? Inclusivity in our thought is a slightly broader term. I just want to explain that. The inclusivity is about taking care of the community. It's community with all its pleasure and all its faults to really embrace community in various forms. So it would mean that you get the whole community involved in the shopping experience, community involved in the job that you're doing, involve them in the business, in the employment scenario, make people, make sure that you include women and not create unnecessary differences in on a sexual bias. Make sure that you include people with disabilities to really work through. So I think these are the aspects that we need to really discuss about. So just to explain inclusivity. So with that, without much ado, may I ask you to tell us about what makes you that brand that people seem to look up to. You can take this. Thankfully, there is one mic for everybody.
Hello. Yeah. Good morning, all. So it's a pleasure meeting so many retailers in one hall. So to speak about our brand, Kovai Palamudar Nilayam, it was formed in 1965 by my dad and his brothers. Basically, like most other retailers here, it's a very, very humble beginning. They used to sell fruits in baskets in railway stations and bus stops. And, my dad used to work right from age of 10, in a retail shop to get an understanding about fruits, vegetables, basically the business. So what, like any other business, the idea came like a small spark, even back in 1965, shoes and chappals used to be sold in retail outlets, whereas fruits used to be sold in pavements. So he said, why not take it in? So that's the spark, that's the idea. So they took it into a branded retail outlet. People said, it's foolish to do this. Fruits and vegetables are traditionally to be sold in pavements, in markets. So, but they believed in the idea. They believed that customers can be serviced in a better way. So those were the days when bargaining is like, it was more like, more prevalent. People used to bargain for anything they buy, fruits, vegetables, anything. But they said, no, let's make it a fixed cost. Back in 1965, a lot of customers turned away because it's fixed cost. But later they came to realize this is better, this is easy. So even though, people turned away, they never changed their principles, which I think is very, very core, essential for any retail. So basically that's how the business started. And we did a lot of first, like, bringing in metrics, weighing, scaling system. When things were sold in dozens, they sold in, weights, with brought a more fair value to the end consumer. So this had been happening, and but they didn't go out as a chain. But back in 1998, 2000, when we had enough number of like four outlets in Coimbatore, that's when we thought it's time to move on. A lot of people, it again came from the consumers. Like all the retailers here, most of the changes that are brought in our retail are basically by consumers. They request you something, you respond to it. So a lot of people were coming from Chennai, from nearby cities. They were asking, why don't you open a branch like this there? So there were a lot of inherent challenges to it, like supply chain and other things. But naturally, you have to break these challenges. Always there's a solution for any challenge that is presented. So we came to Chennai in 2000. So now we are a 42 outlet chain spread across 10 cities. And proudly we can say, we have created a model that is profitable, that is very sustainable on its own. Each of our outlets are profitable and sustainable. So that was a model. Usually, traditionally, people say fresh trade is not so easy. It's not a profitable trade. So we try to create a difference. We try to create value out of it. So the value should first go to the consumer, who should feel the value. Then it comes back to us. So that's how this was done. So again, when I was invited to make the speech about this topic, very interesting, growth through collaboration, cooperation and inclusivity, very, very stupendous topic, because, I went in like anybody else, I did a small Google search about what it exactly means and, how it is. So I was going through some of the articles, some of the TED Talks very easily. So I found something very interesting. It said, the collaboration, cooperation and inclusivity is basically in human nature. Right from the hunter-gatherer times, even before civilization, even before the first agriculture took place, people used to, hunt mammoth animals by cooperation and collaboration. It was not through just things. They used to hunt animals much larger than themselves, which means this is in our human DNA. So we don't need to do anything about it. So I just wanted to cite one small example and pass it on. There's a panel here. So it's about a company called Captcha. So now it is renamed as reCAPTCHA. So I hope everybody in this hall would have used CAPTCHA whether you know it or not. It's a small set of ambiguous characters you would see when you are trying to register an email ID or register your Facebook account or register your Twitter account. You would see small random characters, something like ABXFN9. So this basically is a set of characters to ensure that you don't, you're a human being. You're not a computer program or a virus who's trying to create more and more accounts. So why I'm trying to bring this thing about CAPTCHA here, because that is the most massive collaboration that has ever happened in the human history. What they actually did. So this was basically a random set of characters which you used to type in to create any account to prove that you are not a computer.